The phone camera was already recording when Frank bent for the dented can. Every morning, the same three men laughed and called him the Can Man. Frank said nothing. He walked past the hospice window, past the school, past everyone who thought they knew his story. But the aluminum money had funded 11 anonymous scholarships, and his daughter, 2 states away, was about to land a private jet nearby. Frank is 74 years old. To the regulars outside the strip mall, he is just the old man hauling a dented cart and picking through trash before 7 in the morning. They film him. They joke that he must be broke. But Frank owns a paid-off house. He has a pension. And every can he touches becomes tuition money for students at the school across the street, a scholarship given in his late wife's name for 11 years. The only person who does not know is Amanda, his daughter, and she is about to land. Frank's day begins before the strip mall unlocks its glass doors. By 5:30, he pushes a dented wire cart past the shuttered nail salon, the payday lender, and the empty anchor store that has been closed for 8 years. The air smells like wet cardboard and old frying oil from the takeout place on the corner. Frank wears the same gray zip-up jacket he has worn for a decade. The sleeves are frayed, but the pockets are deep enough to hold his work gloves and a folded trash bag. He checks the bins behind the pharmacy first, then the benches near the bus stop, then the low brick planter outside the insurance office. Most people walk past without seeing him. The rest see him and look away. But 3 men who work at the phone repair kiosk see him every morning. They call him Can Man Frank. They step outside with their coffee and wait for him to bend down so they can film. One of them, Tyler, started it as a joke. Now he posts a clip every few days under the same title, Broken Old Man or Secret Millionaire. The videos get a few thousand views. Frank has never watched one. He does not have a smartphone. He has a flip phone with a cracked screen and a list of numbers he rarely calls. And he has the cart. That is enough. But the cart is not the real reason Frank comes here. The real reason stands on the other side of the strip mall. A 2-story hospice facility with tinted windows and a small garden she kept alive with her own hands. 8 years ago, his wife Margaret spent her last 3 months in a room on the 2nd floor. Every afternoon, a nurse opened the blinds so Margaret could watch the school across the street, the children running at recess, the crossing guard in his yellow vest. Frank sat beside her. He told her that one day he would do something for those kids. She smiled and said, "Then do it quietly." She died on a Tuesday in October. The funeral was small. The flowers died. But Frank did not forget. The first scholarship was awarded the following spring. It was a single check for $800, sent in a blank envelope to the principal with a note that said, "For a student who works hard and never expects a reward." No donor name, no ceremony, just the name of the scholarship, Margaret Calloway Memorial Scholarship. It has been awarded every year since. 11 years. The money comes from aluminum, from the cans no one else bothers to pick up. Frank keeps a small ledger in his kitchen drawer, but he has never told a soul. The 3 men do not know any of this. They see an old man in a frayed jacket pulling a dented cart through the parking lot. They see a target. Tyler once followed Frank all the way to the recycling center, laughing as the old man sorted cans by type. Another time, one of them threw a half-empty soda can at Frank's feet and said, "Here, old man, that one's on me." Frank picked it up, crushed it under his boot, and put it in the bag. He thanked him. That made the men laugh harder. But Frank was not being weak. He was calculating. That can was worth 5 cents. 5 cents was 1/5 of a dollar. And a dollar, multiplied by enough cans, became a scholarship. He could endure the laughter. He had endured worse. His daughter Amanda knows none of this. She is 41, twice divorced, and the founder of a logistics company that moves freight across 11 states. She calls every Sunday at 6 o'clock. Frank sits in his chair by the window and tells her he is fine. He says he is retired. He says he is comfortable. He tells her about the garden he pretends to keep, the neighbors he pretends to talk to, the books he pretends to read. It is not a lie, exactly, it is a shield. He worries that if she knows about the cans, she will worry. She will fly down. She will try to fix things. She will send money. And Frank does not need money. He needs the morning walk past the hospice window. He needs the rhythm of the cart. He needs the ache in his back at the end of the day, because it tells him he did something real. So he keeps the shield up. Every Sunday he says, "I'm fine, sweetheart. Don't waste your money on a flight." And every Sunday, Amanda believes him. Until the video. The clip arrives on a Wednesday afternoon. Amanda is in a board meeting when her phone lights up with a message from a woman she grew up with, someone who still lives near the old neighborhood. The message reads, "Isn't this your dad?" Amanda opens the link. The video shows Frank on his knees, reaching under a bench outside a strip mall. His jacket is dirty. A man's voice off camera says, "Look at him." The caption reads, "Can Man Frank back at it." Amanda feels the blood drain from her face. She watches it twice. Then she calls her father. He does not answer. She calls again. Straight to voicemail. She leaves a message, her voice tight. "Dad, it's me. Call me back." Then she tells her assistant to cancel the rest of her day. She books the company jet. She does not know the whole story, but she knows enough. She thinks her father is broke. She thinks he is alone. She thinks he is being humiliated for pocket change. And she is going to rescue him. The jet lands at the small regional airport 40 minutes from his house at 6 the next morning. Amanda steps out into the gray light. She has not slept. She has a car waiting. She tells the driver to take her to the strip mall, not the house, because she wants to see it with her own eyes first. The driver obeys. 20 minutes later, the car pulls into the mostly empty parking lot. Amanda sees the hospice building first, then the school, then the row of stores. And then she sees him. Frank is on one knee near the dumpster, pulling a crushed can from beneath a shopping cart. His back is bent, his hands are chapped. 3 men stand around him with phones raised. One of them, Tyler, steps closer and says, "Smile, Can Man. The video is going to make me rich." Frank says nothing. He just places the can in his wire cart and reaches for another. Amanda stands frozen at the edge of the lot. She has come to save him. But for a long second, she cannot move. Because the man on the ground is not the man she thought she knew. And the truth behind why he is there is something she has never imagined. Amanda's heels felt bolted to the asphalt. She had flown 600 miles on 2 hours of sleep, picturing her father cold and hungry and too proud to ask for help. But the man in front of her was worse than that. He was on his knees in a parking lot, surrounded by 3 men with phones, and he was not fighting back. He was picking through garbage like it was the most normal thing in the world. One of the men, Tyler, leaned closer with his phone angled low. "Say something for the people, Can Man. Tell them what you're going to buy with all that aluminum." Frank's hand closed around a crushed can. He dropped it into the cart without looking up. "Just doing my part." Tyler laughed. "Your part? What part is that, old man?" Amanda stepped forward. "The part where you stopped filming my father." Tyler turned. The smile slipped off his face when he saw her. Amanda was not large, but she had the stillness of someone used to being obeyed. She wore a dark blazer and carried a phone that looked more expensive than the phone repair kiosk behind them. She did not raise her voice. She did not need to. "Your father?" Tyler said. He looked at Frank, then back at Amanda. "This is your dad?" Frank stood up slowly. His knees made a sound like old hinges. "Amanda, you shouldn't be here." "Neither should you," she said. The other 2 men lowered their phones. One of them, a stocky guy with a faded tattoo on his neck, took a step back toward the kiosk. Tyler held his phone a little lower but did not stop recording. Amanda walked toward him. She stopped an arm's length away. I said stop. Tyler looked at the phone, then at Amanda's face. He saw something there that made him tap the screen. The red light went dark. It was just a joke. My father is not a joke. Frank placed a hand on the cart handle. "Amanda, it's fine." "It is not fine." She turned to face him. "You told me you were retired. Comfortable. You told me you were fine. I am. This is fine? She gestured at the cart, the dented cans, the dirty jacket. You're on your knees outside a strip mall at 6 in the morning, and 3 strangers are filming you like you're a zoo animal. Frank looked at the cart. They don't know any better. They should know not to humiliate an old man. I'm not humiliated. His voice was calm, which made it worse. Tyler started to say something, but Amanda silenced him with a look. She pulled the car door open and turned to her father. Get in. Amanda, get in the car, Dad. For a moment, Frank looked at the cart. It was half full. A few cans had fallen on the ground. He bent down, picked them up, and placed them carefully inside. Then he walked toward the car. As he passed Tyler, he said, You have a good day now. Tyler blinked. He did not answer. Amanda closed the door after her father and walked around to the other side. She did not look back at the 3 men. She did not need to. The driver pulled away from the curb. Frank sat with his hands folded in his lap, staring out the window at the strip mall. Amanda watched him. His profile was thinner than she remembered. His hair had gone completely gray, and the skin on his neck was creased like old paper. But his eyes were sharp. They had always been sharp. You want to tell me what that was? She asked. Just collecting cans. For what? Money? Something to do. She laughed once, a short breath with no humor. Something to do. Dad, I just watched 3 men film you on your knees. One of them called you Can Man. That's not something to do. That's something you do when you have no other choice. I have choices. Then why this? Why here? Frank looked out the window. The car passed the hospice building. The tinted windows reflected the gray sky. The flowers, he said quietly. What? The garden outside the hospice. Your mother used to like those flowers. Amanda felt the air leave her chest. She had not heard her father mention Margaret in months. She had learned not to bring it up, because every time she did, he would change the subject. Now he sat there, watching the building like it held a part of him she could not reach. Dad, what does that have to do with picking up cans? He did not answer. He just turned his head and looked out the other window. The driver took the right turn onto Frank Street. The house was small, a pale yellow box with a cracked walkway and a roof that needed new shingles. It had looked this way for years. Amanda remembered riding her bike in this street, the neighbor's dog that barked every morning, the smell of cut grass in the summer. The house had not changed. She was not sure if that was comforting or terrifying. Frank walked inside first. He hung his jacket on a hook by the door and went to the kitchen to put on a kettle. Amanda stood in the living room, taking in the details. The old brown sofa, the faded rug, the stack of newspapers by the chair. No new furniture, no new television. But the house was clean. The dishes were washed. A small vase of plastic flowers sat on the windowsill. She followed him into the kitchen. When did you last eat? I had toast this morning. Before collecting cans? After, she watched him fill the kettle with water. His hands were steady. I need you to be honest with me. Frank set the kettle down. I am being honest. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're on your knees in a parking lot being filmed by strangers while I'm 2 states away thinking you're playing cards with Mr. Delgado and tending your tomatoes. I still see Mr. Delgado. When? Thursday, she shook her head. Dad, I saw the video. The caption said, broken old man or secret millionaire. People are laughing at you. They can laugh. Why don't you care? Because I know what I'm doing. The kettle began to hiss. Frank turned away to pour the water into 2 cups. Amanda watched his back. He moved slowly, but not from age. It was the movement of a man protecting something. Are you broke? She asked. No, then show me your bank account. He paused with the cup in his hand. That's private. I'm your daughter. That doesn't mean you get to inspect my accounts. She took a step closer. Dad, I'm trying to help you. I don't need help. Then explain the cans. The silence stretched between them. Frank added a tea bag to 1 cup and slid it toward her. I can't. Why not? Because you'll try to fix it. What does that even mean? Frank sat down at the small kitchen table. The wood was worn where he always rested his arms. It means that collecting is not the problem. It's the solution. To what? He looked up at her, and for a second she saw something flicker behind his eyes. Fear or grief, or both. Then he looked away. Amanda pulled out the chair next to him. Dad, I flew down here because I thought you were starving. I saw that video and I thought I had failed you. I thought my own father was too proud to tell me he needed money. So please, tell me what is actually going on. Frank did not speak. He wrapped both hands around his cup and stared into the steam. Amanda pushed back from the table. Fine, I'll find out myself. She walked to the small desk in the corner of the living room. Frank stood up quickly. Amanda, leave it. But she had already opened the top drawer. Inside were folded papers, old receipts, a black ledger with cracked binding. She picked up the ledger. Frank reached for it, but she turned away. She opened it. The pages were filled with neat rows of numbers. Dates, weights, prices. She saw the word aluminum repeated dozens of times. She saw entries like March 2nd, 140 cans, $9.80. She flipped further. There were checks written to something called the Margaret Callaway Memorial Scholarship. $800, $650, $1,200. The dates went back 11 years. Amanda's hand began to tremble. She looked up at Frank. What is this? Frank lowered his hand. He sat back down slowly. It's the reason. The reason you collect cans? He nodded. To fund a scholarship? He nodded again. Named after Mom? Frank closed his eyes. She died in that hospice. The room overlooked the school. She watched those kids every afternoon. She said one day I should do something for them. Quietly, so I did. Amanda stared at the ledger. The numbers blurred. For 11 years? 11 years. You've been collecting cans to pay for strangers' children to go to school? It was never about the money. Amanda slammed the ledger on the table. Then what was it about? Walking past that place every morning like a ghost? Letting those men call you Can Man? Destroying your back for 5 cents at a time? Frank looked at her, and his voice came out soft but sure. It kept me close to her. Amanda felt the heat behind her eyes. She opened her mouth, but no words came. The room seemed smaller, the walls closer. She had come to rescue him from poverty, but the truth was something she had never imagined. Her father was not poor. He was not lost. He was grieving. And the very thing she wanted to end was the thing that kept him alive. Amanda did not cry. She closed the ledger and set it down with both hands, as if it might break. For 11 years, her father had turned other people's trash into a scholarship, a quiet ceremony no one attended. She should have felt proud. Instead, she felt rage. Not at Frank, but at Tyler, and at the thousands of people who had watched her father on their screens and laughed. And under that rage was something sharper. Guilt. She opened the next drawer. Beneath the ledger, she found a folder held together by a rubber band. Inside were thank you letters from students who had received the Margaret Callaway Memorial Scholarship. Some were written in careful block letters, some in rushed blue ink. A few had been folded so tightly that the creases were white. Amanda read one from a girl named Priya who wrote, I used to think no one saw me. This money means someone did. She read another from a boy named Marcus who said he was the first in his family to finish high school. The letters spanned years. Some included photographs. A young woman in a graduation gown. A teenage boy holding a certificate. A mother with her arm around a smiling girl. Amanda counted the photographs. 31 students. 31 lives that had changed because her father woke up before dawn and picked through trash. She walked back into the kitchen. Frank was still sitting at the table, his tea untouched. Why didn't you tell me? She asked. Because you would have tried to fix it. That's not a reason. It's the only reason that matters. Frank looked up. You fix things, Amanda. It's what you do. You land, you make a plan, you throw money at it, and then you leave. But this was not something to fix. It was something to do. I could have helped. You would have made it bigger. Louder, you would have put a name on it. And the whole point was that it had no name. He turned the cup slowly. Your mother asked me to do it quietly, not just for the kids. For me. She knew I needed the walk. She knew I needed something that would make me get up after she was gone. Amanda sat across from him. How much have you given away? Enough? How much? About $68,000. Amanda let the number settle. It was not a fortune. It was not small either. It was 11 years of 5-cent decisions. She thought about the private jet, the catered meetings, the watch she had bought last year without checking the price. Her father had earned every dollar of that scholarship with his hands. I want to fund it, she said. 100 times the scale. You can stop. You can rest. I'll write a check today. Frank shook his head. I'm serious, Dad. I know you are. And I'm refusing. Her voice sharpened. Why? So you can keep being called Can Man? So those men can keep filming you? Let them film. It doesn't change what I'm doing. It changes how the world sees you. The world has never seen me. That was the point. Amanda stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. You don't get to disappear into this. You have a daughter who loves you. I will not watch you break your back for pocket change when I could fund this scholarship for the next 50 years. Frank stood too. Slowly, the point was never the money, Amanda. It was the walk. Every morning I passed the hospice window. I remember her room. I remember the school across the street. I remember what she said. The cans are just the excuse. If you take that away, what do I have left? You have me. You have a life. I have a life because of this. Amanda searched for an answer and found none. She turned away and walked to the front window. Outside, the neighbor's dog barked once. The sky had turned the color of old nickel. She said, then I'll find another way. She did not know what that meant yet, but she knew she was not going to leave her father on his knees. That afternoon, Amanda called the owner of the strip mall. Her assistant pulled the records. The property was held by a trust called Fairmont Retail Group, based 3 states away. The listing was not public, but the owner's representative was willing to listen when Amanda's name came up. She offered twice the appraised value. The representative asked for a day. She gave him 2 hours. While she waited, she drove back to the strip mall. The phone repair kiosk was closed. She saw Tyler through the window, scrolling his phone. She did not go inside. She stood by the empty anchor store and looked at the cracked concrete. The glass was dusty. A faded sign read, "Coming soon." It had been coming soon for 8 years. Amanda pictured her father here, passing this same window every morning. She tried to see what he saw. The hospice across the street, the school behind the hedge, the low sky. The door of the kiosk opened. Tyler stepped out. He walked toward her with his chin raised. You're the daughter. Amanda turned. You need to stop filming my father. Or what? You gonna buy this place and throw me out? He laughed, but his eyes moved over her clothes. The laugh died quickly. She took one step toward him. Or I will make your life very quiet. No more videos. No more Can Man. No more jokes. Tyler glanced at the phone in his hand. He did not point it at her, but his thumb twitched. He's in a public parking lot. I got a right. You have a right to be cruel. And I have a right to respond. He stepped back. It's not personal. It's content. My father is not content. Tyler did not answer. He turned and walked back toward the kiosk. Amanda stood still until he was gone. Then she walked to the edge of the lot and looked at the school. Buses were lining up near the gate. Children with backpacks moved in loose lines. Some of them might have received a scholarship. Some of them might never know the name of the man across the street. By evening, Amanda had a signed letter of intent. The strip mall would be hers within 30 days. She told no one. Not her assistant, not the attorney, not Frank. She wanted it clean. But the next morning, Tyler posted the video. The clip was edited. It began with Amanda's face close to the lens, her voice saying, "Or I will make your life very quiet." He had cut the part where she said stop filming. He had cut the part about her father being in a public parking lot. He had not cut the part where she stood in a dark blazer with a car waiting behind her. The caption read, "Can man's rich daughter threatens working guy at strip mall." Within 4 hours, it had 200,000 views. Amanda saw it when her phone started buzzing. Her assistant called first, then her lawyer, then 3 reporters. She stood in Frank's kitchen and watched the comments pile up. People called her an elitist. They called her a bully. They said she used her money to silence ordinary workers. The original video of Frank, the one with him on his knees, resurfaced. Now it had new comments. Some people defended Frank. Others called him a squatter. A few asked why an old man with a rich daughter was collecting cans at all. The answer was locked in a drawer in the next room. By noon, a local news crew had set up outside the strip mall. Amanda watched from the car. The reporter held a microphone and pointed toward the parking lot. Tyler stood beside them, nodding. The phone repair kiosk became a backdrop. Frank's usual bench was visible behind them. But Frank was not there. She found him at home, sitting in the dark living room. He had not turned on the lights. His phone, the cracked flip phone, was buzzing on the table. He looked up when she entered. "They're outside the school now." "What?" "The school. A parent recognized me in the video. They called the principal. The principal called me. People are asking about the scholarship." Amanda felt the air leave her body. "What did you tell them?" "I told him it ends if it becomes public. The quiet was the gift. If they take that away, there's no point." "Dad, you can't let strangers destroy this." "It's not destroyed. It's just over." He looked old then. Not frail, but tired in a way she had never seen. Maybe it was always going to end. Maybe this is the sign. Amanda sat next to him. "No, you don't get to let those 3 losers decide when a scholarship dies." He turned his head. "It's not them. It's the noise. You see? This is why I didn't tell you. The minute people know, the thing becomes public. And public things get picked apart. They get shared. They get laughed at. They get used." Amanda shook her head. "Then I'll buy the noise. I'll buy the strip mall. I'll give those men jobs sorting cans so they understand what it means to work for 5 cents. Frank stared at her. "You don't mean that." "I mean every word." She stood up. Her voice was low and certain. "You think silence is the only way to honor her. But maybe the way to protect it is to build something that can hold it. A real place. A clean place. A place where the work is not a humiliation." Frank did not answer. Outside, the neighbor's dog barked again. The twilight had turned the windows gray. Amanda opened the door and stopped. "I tried to take away your walk. I was wrong. But I'm not going to let the world take it either." She turned to face him. "You picked cans because you loved her. Let me pick up the pieces so it can stay quiet. But now it has to be bigger than a dented cart and a dumpster." Frank looked at her for a long moment. "What are you going to do?" "Buy the strip mall, convert the empty anchor unit into a recycling depot, and hire Tyler and his friends to sort cans." Frank's eyebrows rose. "They'll hate it. Then they'll learn." Amanda walked out into the cooling air. She had a plan. It was not the plan she had boarded the jet with. It was stranger, more expensive, and more personal. She would not rescue her father by making him stop. She would rescue the work by giving it a home. And the 3 men who had filmed him would become the ones carrying the cans. The closing happened faster than anyone expected. Amanda's offer was not the highest, but it was the most certain. She wired the full amount in 10 days. The trust accepted. The strip mall became hers on a dry Tuesday in early spring. She did not tell Frank until after everything was signed. She drove to his house and placed a single key on the kitchen table. "What is this?" he asked. "The anchor unit. It's yours to supervise. I don't want a building." "It's not a building, it's a roof over the walk." Frank looked at the key. Then he looked at Amanda, and something in his face softened. He did not thank her. He did not argue. He just took the key and put it in the drawer beside the ledger. The empty anchor unit, with its boarded windows and buckled floor, was transformed in 5 weeks. Amanda hired a local crew, not a corporate contractor. They repaired the roof, replaced the glass, and painted the walls the color of warm sand. A long sorting table ran down the center. Blue bins for aluminum, green for plastic, gray for paper. There was a small break room in the back with a coffee pot and a window that looked out toward the school. The new sign was small, plain white with black letters. Margaret's Walk Recycling Depot. No ribbon cutting. No cameras. Just a green door and a bell that rang when it opened. The harder part was Tyler. Amanda walked into the phone repair kiosk with a notice of lease termination. The 3 men stared at her. Tyler put down the phone he was holding. "What is this? Your landlord has changed. This store will close in 30 days. You can't do that." "I already did." She placed the notice on the counter. "But I have other work for you." Tyler laughed. A short, nervous sound. "Work? For us? At what, a recycling depot? Sorting trash?" "Yes, minimum wage. Benefits after 90 days. Frank Calloway will be your supervisor." The other 2 men exchanged glances. Tyler leaned forward. "You're serious." "I am serious. You spent months turning my father into content. Now you'll turn those same cans into something real. You start tomorrow at 6, or you find another job." Tyler's jaw tightened. "You can't make me." "You're right," Amanda said. "But I can make sure every business in this lot knows you filmed an old man for laughs. You can either be the guy who used to mock him or the guy who now works beside him. Your choice." She walked out before he could answer. At 5:45 the next morning, Tyler was not there. Frank arrived first, as always. He unlocked the depot and turned on the lights. The sorting table was empty. The bins were clean. He put on his work gloves and began sorting a bag he had picked up on his walk. At 6, the other 2 showed up, looking hungover and confused. Danny had a coffee in one hand and a crumpled can in the other. Marcus kept looking over his shoulder as if someone might film him now. Frank handed each of them gloves. "The cans go in the blue bins. Plastic and green. Don't crush the ones with the pull tab missing. They cut." That was all he said. Tyler arrived at 7:20. He stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "I'm here. Happy?" Frank did not look up. "There's a bin by the back door. Start with those." The work was hard. Tyler's back ached by mid-morning. His hands got scraped on a jagged lid. He complained under his breath. Frank said nothing. He just kept sorting, his fingers moving with a rhythm Tyler could not copy. By the end of the first week, Tyler had earned $240 before taxes. He looked at the pay stub and shook his head. It was more than he had made at the kiosk in the last 2 weeks. But the real shift came 3 weeks later. Frank left his lunch bag on the break table. Inside was a folded thank you letter from a student named Lakshmi. Tyler found it when he reached for a napkin. He read it out loud without thinking. "I never knew who funded my scholarship. I used to think no one believed in me. Now I know someone did. Thank you, Margaret." The room went quiet. Danny looked up. "Margaret who?" Frank came in and took the letter without a word. He folded it neatly and slipped it into his jacket pocket. But Tyler had already seen the return address, the school across the street. He didn't ask Frank directly. He called the principal's office that afternoon and said he was doing a background check for a story. The secretary told him about the Margaret Calloway Memorial Scholarship. 11 years, 31 students, anonymous, funded by cans. Tyler sat in his car outside the depot and felt something he had not felt in years: shame. The next morning, he arrived at 5:45. He was the first one there. He stood by the green door, waiting. When Frank pulled up with his cart, Tyler said, "You never told me." Frank said, "You never asked." Then he unlocked the door, and they started sorting together in the gray quiet. The change in Tyler was not sudden or loud. He stopped calling Frank Canman. He stopped filming. He started taking the cans to the sorting table instead of throwing them. He learned the difference between clean aluminum and foil. He learned that a bag of crushed cans could weigh more than a bag of loose ones. He learned that Frank never took a day off, even when it rained. And one morning, when a new group of teenagers stood by the fence and pointed at Frank, Tyler walked out and told them to leave. He used no anger. He just said, "That man has done more good with those cans than you'll do with your whole phone." The teenagers left. Amanda watched from across the street. She had not left after all. She had rented a small office above the coffee shop on the corner. She came by most mornings with 2 cups of coffee. She and Frank sat on the bench outside the depot, watching the school buses line up. She learned that he would never let her fund the scholarship directly, but she could pay for the depot's utilities. She could hire the men, she could make the work clean and safe, and she could let him be. 6 months after the depot opened, the scholarship fund had grown. The volume from the depot, combined with Frank's own walks, doubled the annual award. The first new recipients were announced in the spring. Frank did not attend the ceremony. He stood across the street by the hospice window, as always. Amanda stood beside him. "Does it bother you," she asked, "that they still don't know your name?" Frank watched a girl in a yellow backpack run across the schoolyard. She knows the name that matters. Amanda finally understood that the walk was not a route. It was a pilgrimage. By the end of the first year, the depot had processed more cans than Frank could have collected alone in a decade. Tyler and Danny and Marcus had become something no one expected, protectors of the work. They still argued about the best way to stack the bins. They still complained about the early hours. But when a reporter called about the Can Man story, Tyler refused to speak. When a viral video page offered him money to recreate the old clips, he blocked them. One morning, Frank handed him a can that was still half full. "Rinse it first." Tyler took it. "I know. You didn't yesterday. I was tired. We're all tired." Frank looked toward the school. "But the kids are not." Tyler rinsed the can. He set it in the blue bin. And for the first time, he did not feel like a man being punished. He felt like a man carrying something. The 3 men who had once weaponized their phones now sorted cans for a living under a man they had mocked. And Frank, their supervisor, said nothing about it. He just handed them gloves every morning and pointed at the bins. He never mentioned the scholarship. He never mentioned Margaret. But some truths do not need to be spoken, they are carried in the work. Some truths do not need to be spoken, they are carried in the work. Maybe that is why Frank still walks past the hospice window every morning, even though the depot now receives more cans than he could ever collect alone. He does not need to pick through trash anymore. He does not need to bend down outside the pharmacy or reach beneath the benches. But he still does. Not because he misses the cold, and not because he misses being laughed at. He still does it because the walk is the memorial. The cans are only the proof that he showed up. Amanda no longer tries to stop him. That was the hardest lesson. She had flown down believing she was saving her father from poverty and humiliation. Instead, she learned that some struggles are chosen, and some burdens are not burdens at all. They are the last place a person can still touch the one they loved. She learned the difference between rescuing someone and standing beside them. And that difference changed everything. If you are watching this, you probably already know the statistic. A single aluminum can is worth about 5 cents. 5 cents cannot buy a cup of coffee. It cannot pay a bill. But 11 years of 5-cent decisions built something no single check could build. $68,000 in scholarships. 31 students. And one old man who kept his promise to a woman who asked only for quiet goodness. The 3 men who once filmed him now sort cans for a living, under Frank, who says nothing about it. They wake up before 6. They rinse the half-full cans, they stack the bins, and they see the letters. They see the students crossing the street. They understand now that the old man they called Can Man was building something they could not see. Not a business, not a fund. A bridge between grief and purpose. He was not collecting trash. He was collecting proof that Margaret still mattered. The question is not whether Frank was poor or rich. The question is whether any of us would choose to be that faithful. Faithful to a promise no one heard. Faithful to a woman who asked only for quiet goodness. Faithful to a daily walk that no one clapped for and no camera should have followed. If you made it this far, you already know why stories like this matter. They remind us that the people we ignore might be carrying the heaviest and most beautiful things. They remind us that dignity does not come from being seen. Sometimes it comes from being invisible. So if this meant something to you, consider subscribing. It helps more stories like Frank's find the light. And if you ever see an old man bent over a recycling bin, maybe do not film him. Maybe just ask if you can carry one bag. Thanks for watching.